The European middle class is built on a dangerous premise that real estate is the primary investment tool. Reality is, people lock themselves into 35 years mortgages very early on due to peer pressure and traditional thinking. I personally saw many of my acquaintances and friends getting into such investment early on, 28, 30 years old, but audited closely my own telemetry, realizing it was not the right time. Hence, decided to wait and only got into real estate when I was 37. Why did I do that? And how the math can align for you is what we're going to talk about today. Hello fellow wealth seekers and welcome back to the channel. Today with a very personal episode that hopefully can spark some confidence and reflection into many of you. My reasoning for not getting into real estate is personal but also mathematical. Two reasons. The first one, I was not ready. My power of accumulation, my wealth protocols, my financial habits were simply not ripe enough. I did not have a system, I did not have enough compounding in my bank, in my brokerage accounts, and of my own skills, knowledge, and habits. I had to become more experienced and more mature. I've already talked about certain behaviors that led me to financial suboptimal choices, and this was simply complicating the picture even more. I did not get into such a huge investment because all the other steps were not complete. Reason number two, simply, particularly in Berlin, where I've been residing for the past decade or so, the market is extremely high priced. There's opportunities every once in a while. You need to know where to look. You need to get into good deals. Otherwise, the commissions, the taxes and notary at the beginning are a huge sunk cost before starting such decision. Hence, I simply realized I was not ready and I was still valuing my flexibility. Imagine you just don't like your work, job, the boss, conditions of a specific city, your tax systems. By locking into a mortgage, you give away the flexibility of being able to move, of being able to take a different path earlier in life when you are supposed to have such flexibility and openness. Be sure of what you're getting into. Also, let's consider the opportunity cost. Not investing into an ETF that globally diversified returns around 8% each year is a huge opportunity missed because you are locking yourself into a housing market that suffers appreciation, depreciation, ups and downs. Sometimes you're entering at the wrong time, and if you are not already invested by a decade or so before getting into such decision, you are giving away the most important compounding years of your life. Say that instead you have been renting and giving out that trade-off already, you would be seeing yourself with the toughest years of compounding behind you and able to decrease that contribution because time will just do its job in the meantime and the heavy lifting of compounding is already generated while you are redirecting yourself into a real estate investment. So what changed? Opportunities. I decided to give myself two fixed rules. Majority of the house value should be paid in cash and the mortgage should not exceed 7-8 years. This because I value my liquidity, but I also value the opportunity of being able to trade off that liquidity, such as new investments, such as reacting to the markets, rebalancing my portfolio, and locking in a very high pressure mortgage would have not sit well with that understanding. I found an asset that I deemed underpriced compared to Berlin standards and invested with 60% down payment and a 5-year mortgage. We are gonna be done paying this in 2 years and subsequently be able to rent it out or decide that it is the right time to live a bit longer in here, perhaps sell it out. After living for 3 years, all the taxes from capital gains that you are generating while selling a real estate property are cancelled. So this plays in my advantage. Secondly, I found a different opportunity, not necessarily for own use, but for future investment. A property in Italy that had to be thoroughly renovated, and I'm still very much in the process for that I also was able to buy for 65% down payment and 5-year mortgage duration. This is going to be turned into wellness opportunities, into agricultural expansion, and I'm going to be generating some further income out of that as I build towards differentiating income streams even more. These two will allow me flexibility, should I decide to move, will allow me potential incomes, and do not lock me in for the longest time. And all of this why? Because I waited and I built my wealth in the meantime with strong security before locking in for such a decision. So what can you practically take out of this? Do not get into such an investment for peer pressure, family, friends. Audit your own positioning using a 4-point checklist. Number 1, geographical arbitrage. Are you sure you are confident about that location? Does it give you an advantage? Does it give you flexibility? Are you happy where you are? Otherwise, all the upfront costs will be necessarily outweighing the opportunity of buying. The minimum I recommend is 10 years of potential stability within the time frame of buying. Secondly, the opportunity cost. What can you do with that money instead? Have you maximized your tax shielded or tax deferred allowances? Have you invested into ETFs? What is the potential return there? Renting is not somebody else's mortgage, is not throwing money out of the window. It is simply a mathematical trade-off. Number 3, the liquidity test. Are you attacking any wealth that you already accumulated, invested, emergency funds for the down payment? Perhaps better to reconsider. And lastly, is your market potentially overpriced? Is it overhyped? Is it a moment of simply not convenient investing for the specific location? Always triple check this. For this video, I will remind you that I have already prepared a thorough renting versus buying calculator with a free template. So I will recommend you to check that video if you haven't so yet. I hope this was helpful. I hope you could find some helpful knowledge from my own experience or the checklist. And if there's any feedback, I would love to deep dive. I would love to get any sort of question and reply to all the comments. Show any engagement, please. Like and subscribe if you will. And there's plenty more in my channel for you to check through. I'll see you in the next session. European Wealth Lab out.